Good day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, quarantining from Salt Lake City today, and today I'm joined by the band Repulsur. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Doing well.
So why don't we start out by everybody introducing themselves?
You guys go first. I'm shy.
Laren, don't tell him your name.
This lead singer is shy. I love it.
So this is Kitty Longoria. I play the guitar thing.
This is Dave Ainsworth. I play the bass.
And I'm laryngitis. I play the throat.
So we've got 3/4 of you guys here.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I wanted to start off things with just a little intro and saying that I first caught you guys on the Condolences tour with Wednesday 13. And then I was at another Wednesday 13 show this winter in Minneapolis. And I went over to the merch booth and I said, oh man, this person looks so familiar. And I couldn't, it was just like, who is it? Who is it? And then all of a sudden it just like clicked in. And I'm like, oh, you're in the band Repulsur, right? And you said, yeah. And I said, oh, I loved you guys when you guys were opening. And so we chatted for a few minutes. I bought some merch and it was a great, and so I gave you my business card and I said, you guys got any material coming out? And you said, yeah, you had something coming out. And so we exchanged emails and here we are today.
I know it. You gave me swag. I was like, you have perfect timing, as we do have a record coming out in spring/summer.
Yeah. So the album was just released as part of the Kickstarter campaign, right?
Yeah, we just wanted to we weren't actually going to release it until before a tour, and that kind of got messed up. So we decided to just do it kind of like a sneaky release just for the people that wouldn't leave us alone.
And how did that go for you guys?
It went pretty well, I would say.
And
Yes.
Kitty, how did you feel it went?
Beg your pardon?
How do you feel like the release went?
Oh, the release went like I won't say well, yeah, better than expected. I will say better than expected. Only because you know, I mean, I don't know. I tend to be overwhelmed a lot by I don't know, by how much people like, you know, anything noisy I might do. I was like, wow, okay, that works for me.
They like you. They really like you.
I still say they're just putting me on. They're just making me feel better.
And Dave, how did you feel like it went?
From everything I saw last time I checked, it was like Kitty said, it was a little bit more than I expected, which is good. It's always good. Not that we were shooting low or anything, but I just remember the first ad that came out that we put online, social media and all that. All my local friends immediately hit me up for it, and I was kind of shocked by that because I was like, you guys could just talk to me and maybe just get it, but they're like, no, we want to support you, which I was like, well, that's fantastic. So I really appreciated that from everyone.
Well, that's good. I mean, and you guys are out of the Fort Worth area, correct?
Yeah, kind of
Dallas, Fort Worth.
DFW, yeah.
Kind of all over it.
So that's your main your home base, I would say, and so you guys have you guys established a pretty good? It sounds like you've established a pretty good fan base there in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Yeah,
well, we were all from different bands here originally, so we all kind of had we all have mutual friends. It's sort of like a, you know.
we cheated.
Yeah, we cheated.
Yeah. So what would, if you guys had to name your fans, what would you name them?
You know, I've actually thought about that. I can't think of anything.
Oh my gosh, I've never thought about that.
Repulsive.
I feel terrible.
Wait, are we allowed to curse?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can say anything you want.
I'm just kidding. I was joking.
Oh, okay.
That was a joke I ripped off from Jon Stewart. It doesn't really matter. No, I really can't think of anything. I have thought about it, but I haven't, I don't know. There's nothing, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of something that sounds similar to Repulsur, and I'm just getting surrogate.
my first thought was pus heads. I don't know, because that's pretty repulsive. but there's already an
so
artist named
puffy.
Puffy.
I'm gonna call them brainworms from now on.
Brainworm.
You miss the worms when they are gone and all the things that they crawled on.
Well,
I like brainworms.
I think that needs to be your next goal, is to come up with a name for your fans, because then your fan club can have that incorporated into it.
That's a good call.
I say they name themselves like everybody else, like the Deadheads did. You know, I don't think.
Hey, that's a good one. Can we use that?
And we're very much like the Grateful Dead, so yeah.
So let's dive into the dumpster, as we should say, and talk about the album itself. I kind of, when I listened to it and I reviewed it, it kind of started out when I just went through it one time. I was like, wow, this is kind of all over the place. But then as I listened to it again, it all kind of came together for me, and it ended up as one cohesive piece. And it seems like you guys draw from a lot of influences in it, and obviously some of them are glam. The first song, The Primitives, has a lot of LA Gun sound to it, and I feel like Laren's voice, to me, sounds like a lot of Joan Jett from the Runaways era. So am I even remotely close by describing it that way?
I would say so. I can't remember exactly. I know I was thinking of kind of weird David Bowie, Debbie Harry, and then Joan Jett sort of mix.
Yeah.
And just all kind of weird, very weird. Lyrics are weird.
And so like when I get into like Hazel Blue, the verses to me in that one are very Bowie-esque. And nice work, Kitty, on that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And
yeah, when I read that in the interview, I was kind of surprised, because I don't know, my voice has been compared to a lot of things, like, I don't know, mating cats or mating whales, and never to Bowie.
well, that's the impression I.
So thank you for that.
Well, then the song goes into the chorus, and it's Laren almost has that like a Courtney Love kind of a chaos to it, and it just kind of mixes all together, and it's great.
That's kind of the idea. It's supposed to be like an explosion, just that, like, in the middle of nowhere, and then it comes back, to. Yeah, I don't think it ever calms down, but to me it does. I don't know. There's a little bit of a serenity in those verses.
So I wanted to ask.
Maybe not everyone hears it.
I wanted to ask each one of you. We'll start with Laren. What was one song on the album that really meant something special to you?
The Mountain. I guess that was the first song that I worked on for that record, and it's definitely very indicative of a lot of things that have happened to me in the last year, and again, like, I wrote it a couple years ago is when I started working on Dumpster Fire, and I would say that song definitely kind of sums up a lot of reoccurring patterns, especially now as Dumpster Fire. So that's.
And how about you, Dave?
My two favorites are Horizon and Fourleaf Clover. Fourleaf Clover is kind of a personal thing. Like, I like every song that Laren doesn't scream in, and there's like just one or two, because I've always said, like, she's got a great voice anyways, and I love it when she's like rough and screaming and hardcore with the vocals. But it's always nice to hear the softer side of Laren every now and then.
Live.
And Kitty, how about you, Kitty?
For me, I would have to. The most personal one to me is Four-Leaf Clover. That was that was really interesting to me like, whenever I write things, they tend to be really, really specific. So it's hard for people to relate to a lot of stuff that I write from time to time. But that one, even though it is about something specific, like, I don't know, I find that a lot of people do relate to it, which is a good thing. I'm glad I kind of, struck a chord with people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's really personal to me. That one's probably, I won't say it's my favorite, but it's the one that really means like, I won't say the most, but a lot compared to others. I really like the Sound of Killing Each Other as well, because that one is, I don't know, that one's the best blend of, I don't know, of all kinds of influences. It's not just like one sort of pinpointed spot or anything. Like, I don't know, everything seems to have like one place that it's coming from, but Sound of Killing Each Other tends to come from all over the place, which, I don't know, has a really chaotic feel to it. So both of those, I think.
So
that one was weird.
Oh, it was weird for you to sing on, or just a weird song in general?
It was weird how it came together, because I think that was the last song that we actually worked on, or like sketched.
It was.
And I don't think that was one that we bring sketches in already kind of there somewhat, or all the way there. And that one there was no sketch. We just did it. Like,
yeah, that one we just kind of just brought pencils and paintbrushes.
Yeah.
So that song for me, like, when I first listened to the album, I went down the track listing and I kept skipping down to that song going, I wonder what that song sounds like. And I wonder what that song sounds like. And I listened to the next song and I wonder what that last song sounds like. And I finally got to it and I said, I wish I would have just skipped to it, because I love the song. Because it's such a great song, in that it has the rhythm section in it sounds a lot like, to me, like an Anthrax, some old classic Anthrax. And then it also mixed with a little Rage Against the Machine in there, lyrically, it's a very heavy song too.
Yeah, very yelly.
I did. Yeah, and what's interesting is like a lot of the things in the review like are things that I never really thought about myself, but when when you mentioned them, I was like, oh yeah, I can hear that. Like the rage part, I never would have thought that. And
really?
I hear that chorus, and I'm like, yep, that's pretty Tom Morello-y. I dig it. So,
I wouldn't have thought that either, but now once you say it, I'm like, oh yeah. But then again, we know the secrets of what actually caused that song to happen.
And then I want to go back to Fourleaf Clover, because that's a very dark, deep song, and I love the orchestration in it, and it just sounds like it could fit right into a Rob Zombie movie. And I just wanted to get an idea of where that song was coming from and what it was about, because I was just curious.
It's just it's about, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Definitely stems from bad experiences.
Okay.
But just so something coming out of something really crappy that happened. I guess the creation of this thing and someone else being able to relate to it. But as far as like the sonics of it, it's supposed to be kind of minimal, definitely noisy, intentionally meant to sound like, I don't know, rusty drain pipes in a way.
Yeah.
Even though all the instrumentation on it is completely natural, with the exception of the sequence, the little hi-hat sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is 100% like wood and strings. There's a lot of room sounds. A lot of it's supposed to sound, I don't know, yeah, but it's still at the same time natural. Like it's got that very sequenced vibe, but everything is still like that's a real grand. Those are real strings.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know, but more with the vibe like of that rusty drain pipe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If you could only smell that song, it'd be gross.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of the point.
Well, the funny thing is when I was reviewing the album, I kept going, what is the message behind a four-leaf clover? And I kept and so I'd Google things, and I would and then I ran across Urban Dictionary definition of four-leaf clover, and I won't tell you, you guys can look it up, but then I just started laughing. I said, Eric, you're just going way too deep into this.
You might be. Now, I am curious as to what Urban Dictionary has to say about it, because my guess is anything they say is probably the opposite of what we intended.
I will just tell you it involves two women and a guy, and that's it.
Yep, totally not what.
But you need to look it up because it's funny.
Ours involves like a donkey, so they totally got it wrong.
So this album I feel like it's not completely different, but it's a little bit different than your debut album. But how was the recording process for you guys versus that album versus this album?
The approach was a little bit different, simply because I don't know. I mean, everyone's got their own thoughts. My thought on it was, I don't know. I'll be completely honest with you. The last record, I felt like I'm really proud of the way it sounds, but it was a little polished. Isn't the right word. I don't know. Like I said, it's still natural sounds, but this one, it's like from my standpoint, was like sonically kind of a statement, like not necessarily against all these pretty records, but it was meant to sound like a rusty chainsaw. I mean, the drums are very roomy, the guitars are very gritty. Laren put it best when she was asking, like when we were talking about the direction, she's like, it sounded like an old Iggy Pop record, you know?
Yeah.
And not that it sounds like Iggy Pop, but just that the biting tones, you know what I mean? And it's all, none of it is canned, you know, none of it comes from any sort of MIDI sequencing or anything like that. It's all like, and very obviously, like it's supposed to go out of its way to sound like you're in the room with it. So yeah, sonically, right off the bat, the recording process itself was basically the same. The mixing process was a little different. The beauty of this time around is we had more room to work with, a bigger room. So we actually got a roomier sound, if you can tell. The first record, everything was very tight sounding, very confined. Not confined, but you can tell it doesn't sound like you're in a big room, you know?
So,
but as far as the recording goes,
and then from your side, Lauren, how did you feel like the recording went for you as far as doing lyrics as compared to the other last album?
I think the first album was probably more challenging, just in the, like, it has its things. Like any first record, I feel like you can do anything you want, but you don't have like a starting point. That is your starting point. So you're sort of, in that way, I think it's a little more challenging because you can kind of do anything, and that with no boundaries, it's like, it's so many options. It can take a long time to sort of narrow down what you're trying to say and what you want to do. And I definitely felt like the first record was way more polished and definitely very direct. Like, we only veered off there right at the end.
Yeah.
But this record was definitely, I was in a dark place. So it was kind of like, I knew that it needed to be gross and it needed to be the filthier side of, because everything on the first record was very, I guess I'm very visual, and I guess I would say it was very disgraced kids TV show host with glitter and Marilyn Manson makeup, and that was just like, that set a tone in my head for this whole like landscape. And then going into this one, it was kind of more like everything's on fire. So
yeah. The title of the record is not ironic, by the way.
You know,
yeah. Dave, was there anything as far as you want to contribute?
Well, I would say that the first album I feel was more like the party album. I don't want to say it's upbeat, but it was always just kind of like a lot of fun going on in the first album. Whereas the second album, you know, there's some space and time has passed, and there is a little darker, a little more creative, different effects and stuff like that on some things. I feel like the first one, everyone keeps saying polished or whatever, but like the first one, it's not, I can't think of the right terminology. It's not like cookie cutter or anything. Like, that's not it, but everything kind of like, they sound like they all belong on the same record. Whereas, like you said, Dumpster Fire is a little more all over the map, but it's because some of the songs are using different method to get to the end result, a little more creative, and maybe because we were all in a different headspace when thinking of how to make that sound.
Now, just to clarify, me, like I'm bad with the word things. So calling the first record polished, I don't think anybody would call anything we do polished.
Comparatively.
So, yeah, comparatively it is. I guess yeah. In relation to the second record, but yeah, I don't want anyone to like read this or hear this and say, do they really think that their sound is polished? Right. They're far from that. So yeah, just to clarify.
So
I'm done now.
Then moving forward, what are your guys' plans? I mean, I know plans are kind of on hold right now, but what would you like to see happen as soon as the shit clears?
Well, gonna head over to the Australian Nationals, and Mick and I are gonna wing it on over to London and jam with the Stones.
Nice. Good for you.
You can come too. That's
nice.
From a movie. Never mind.
I think this definitely our tour schedule is fact. FACKED. Fact. It's hard to say. Like I definitely don't know what we'll be able to do.
Yeah.
And we're a bit at the mercy of a lot of other things. But ideally, we've all talked about it and kind of been like, okay, hopefully things are somewhat getting back to touring next year. We're really hoping people support venues and keep them open. As we've already all seen some stuff closing down, and that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
But next year, we're hoping to just kind of pick the schedule up for this year, next year. So that would put us kind of officially releasing the record somewhere like in the winter time, the fall or the winter. And then that way people will be able to get it on all the platforms. And then going into next year, we'd have all of our, hopefully, some spiffy new merch things and cool stuff. Everybody keeps asking about vinyl, and we've been talking about doing that. But we'd like to get back out on the road, and we sort of had a plan of touring the U.S. for several months. But I don't want to make empty promises. I'm sort of just like, well, we're going to try.
Yeah.
It's hard to plan for anything right now when you don't know when you're going to be even allowed to start. So everything that we've been planning is just kind of like ending at this point. It's just in the queue, just waiting to tell the right people like we're ready to go. But obviously we have to wait. We're at the mercy of something else right now.
Yeah. So for me, this is how I picture it: is when you guys can go back out and tour. You get on a tour with somebody and you guys have this dumpster on wheels and you wheel it out in front of the venue and you just start a fire in the dumpster, and that is your own self-promotion right there for the venue and you guys.
I mean, I would love to be rolled out. I would love for someone to roll us all out on stage in a dumpster. And
I think rather than renting a tour bus, we should rent like a garbage truck.
There you go.
And that's what we ride in. It'd be great. Climate
There's
control.
going to be one button in there that has a "Do Not Push" label on it.
Yeah, right.
It's funny you mentioned that because I remember when Alice Cooper released his that album Trash. To release it, when he was doing the promotion for it, as he released it, he went around in a garbage truck with some in New York City with some dumpster guys and picked up trash with him, and that was like the promo for the album.
That's great.
We should all have like trash kebabs and those orange little things. I don't know, maybe.
But if you want to do it on stage, I'm thinking more of a like Oscar the Grouch, where you each pop out of a can.
Definitely. I mean, I'm part possum, part raccoon anyway, so
there you go.
Definitely, those are my people.
So my last question for you guys is, I want each one of you to name a song for me by title or content that best describes the state of the world currently?
Oh no, this is gonna take a minute.
Oh, what?
Oh man, this is hard.
Oh, that's out of bounds. That's hidden below the belt.
Just a song that you like by title. I mean, your album for itself pretty much speaks to the world right now.
Yeah, that was completely an accident, but man, is it dead on.
And I think I was fair to call it the soundtrack for the right now too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we felt that was pretty accurate. I mean, honestly, whenever this all started happening, we were sitting back going, well, it's like it foretold the future. I would, oh man, I'm torn.
I can only think of one song that even remotely would fall under this category, and it's totally cliche, but REM, End of the World, as we know it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's the as we know it that is the main caveat, because it's not saying it's the end of the world. It's just saying that things are going to obviously be different, at least for the short term, when everyone, because I mean, heck, even right now, as people are starting to wander out of their caves, everyone's cautious.
Yeah.
So, you know, how many people are going to brave a venue? I don't know.
Yeah.
But until we do get to that point, we'll just have to wait and see. So like I said, as we know it, you know, it is the main caveat to that title.
Yeah.
Because things are just going to be different for a little while. We're all going to have to adjust. But life moves on. The world keeps turning.
I'm disappointed in both of y'all. I thought I thought we were all on the same page. I was thinking Bad Medicine by Bon Jovi, but hey, I guess I'm the only one. I'm the only one. I can back it up too. You think I'm kidding? They mention respirators. They've mentioned infections, and then at the end of the song, he's like, "Wait, I'm not done." So it just keeps going. Anyway, so I thought about this way too long.
I'm gonna go with, because I've been listening to this and it like makes me feel very strange. But I've been listening to Mr. Blue Sky by ELO, and every time I listen to it, I imagine a giant Godzilla with the word COVID on it destroying a city, and everybody like running. And they say something about "Welcome to the human race," and I always just see people running like they're
from
I don't know,
Godzilla.
it's
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like that to me, because at the end of the song, everything goes back to normal. But I kind of feel like that song is definitely. Also, you know, the sky is less polluted, so there is that.
Yes, exactly. So where can...
Okay, I'm changing my answer to Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, excellent choice. Excellent choice.
So where can, if people want to get your album right now, where can they go?
Right now, if they missed the Kickstarter, that was their shot for now. If they want to get it, then we're probably going to be posting a bunch of ads up and everything, adverts probably in the fall. I'm thinking September, October, probably, for it to go up on iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. So pretty soon they'll be able to get it everywhere, but for now, they're SOL.
So are you going to release any singles, put anything up on YouTube for people to give them like a teaser of what the album's about or anything?
That kind of depends on how long this this halt keeps going on.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, if things were fine next month, I think we wouldn't. If things progress for another 6 months, then yeah, we're gonna have to do something just because we're all gonna get stir crazy.
Yeah.
Gonna get. I almost said my song was "Dancing with Myself" by Billy Idol.
Yes, that is a good one.
Oh God.
Well, you guys, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you giving me some really good answers, and I appreciate you putting out a great album. So,
thank you.
Well, thank you.
Eric.
And everybody, just stay safe out there and pick up Dumpster Fire when it's available. But if you can't get it, you're gonna have to just wait and trust me that it's a great album.
In the meantime, After School Special is totally available.
And that's a great
Yeah.
album.
There you go. Go for that. That's
Yes.
loud and
Yeah.
violent.
It's polished.
I don't think you're ever going to live this down, Kitty.
Yeah, I'm screwed. That's all right.